Jim Rogers, Jim Rogers. What can I say about Jim Rogers? I've done a number of videos on Jim Rogers. He's just such a cute old curmudgeon, right, with the bow ties. And one thing that Jim Rogers is really good at is marketing. And I think the secret to marketing, when I listen to these guys, the secret to marketing has to be just keep on repeating your message over and over and over again, and just ignore the fact that it never, whatever you're saying, whatever predictions you're making, they never come true. Keep repeating the message. Keep repeating the message. Repetition is how people learn. And these guys like Jim Rogers, guys like Peter Schiff, are geniuses at repeating the message over, and they tireless at repeating the message over and over and over again. I get bored. I say it a couple of times. I just assume people get it, and that's my problem, because they don't. You got to keep repeating it. I mean, there have been studies in marketing, in advertising, that show people need to hear a message something like 17 times before it sinks into their head. You got to keep repeating it. You got to keep repeating it. You know, buy gold, it's going to go to $5,000 an ounce. Buy gold, it's going to go to $10,000 an ounce. Gold is going to be equal to one ounce of gold is going to be equal to what the Dow is, right? Sound familiar? Or the United States is the greatest debtor nation in the world. You know, we're going to have a disaster. Interest rates are going to spike. The Chinese won't lend to us. Asia, here's another thing he says. Asia has all the money. All what money? All what money? Our dollars? Well, how did they get it? The Chinese sitting there with a dollar printing press, printing up the money? They got it from us. We make the money. We're the money factory in dollars, all right? You got to keep repeating the message. You got to keep repeating the message. That's what they do. And my message is that printing money is not inflationary. All government spending is printing money. We can never run out of dollars. The debt of the government is the money of the non-government. All money is debt. So why are we having this discussion about the debt? It's a debt to whom? It's a debt to the U.S. government, and it's a debt that it can always satisfy, because basically all it says to you on that dollar bill, and here's a dollar bill, legal tender, this note, I don't know my glasses, is legal tender for all debts, public and private. It says right on there somewhere. All right? That's a debt it can always satisfy. So, I mean, what's the problem? You could print money. All government spending is printing money. All government spending is printing money. It does not cause inflation, because last I checked, you know, that money adds to the income of people and firms, and then that induces them, as the government provisions itself by paying, it induces the private sector to create more of those goods and services to provision the government. That creates more stuff, right? More goods and services. That's the old supply side economics. When the supply goes up, the price doesn't go up. The price stays the same, and many times it comes down. Look at oil. Supply's going up, price is coming down. So these guys are geniuses. Guys like Rogers are geniuses with the repetition of the message. United States is the greatest debtor nation in the history of the earth. So, what is that debt, Jim? Anyway, what is it? Is it a debt in some other currency? Do we have a debt that we owe in euro? Do we have a debt that we owe in yen? If that was the case, yeah, that would be a problem. Okay, do we have a debt that we owe in gold? That would be a problem. You see, that was under a gold standard. But no, we have a debt that we owe in dollars, which is just pure government fiat issued by decree. And as I showed you on that dollar bill, and as you can see for yourself, It says that this is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and it's the public part where the government says, okay, I'll accept my dollar back for the payment of taxes. That's it. But keep repeating the message. They keep repeating the message, and you listen and you listen, and you get programmed by this message. They're very clever about this. They're geniuses about this, right? The money of the government is our money when the government spends it to provision itself. It is accounted for as a debt on the government side, but it's money to us. How does the government pay back? It pays it back by telling you, hey, we'll accept that debt in exchange and we'll cancel out your tax obligation. That's it. And that's the only way. To say that the government needs to save up its own fiat, right? To save up its own currency, and that's a ludicrous, ridiculous statement. If the government had a debt in another currency, if it was in yen, if it was in euro, if it was in gold, okay, if it was in British pounds, yeah, that would be a problem. We don't make those things. But a debt in dollars, that's nothing to be worried about. And that, my friend Jim Rogers, is why you're not going to be right. I mean, you might be right. It might look like you're right one day if something happens because of a crazy, stupid policy decision, like not raising the debt ceiling or putting us on a fixed quantity of money, then, you know, basically throwing the economy into default, which could probably happen. And I actually predict it will happen now that the Republicans are in charge. But in the grand scheme of things, the debt in dollars is not a debt, okay? It's a debt of the government. It's an obligation it can always satisfy. It is the money that you and I use to pay our taxes, to transact commercially, more or less, and to net save. We like to hang on to some of those dollars for our retirement. And even that is kind of a wasteful thing, because if the economy was at a level where everybody earned enough, rich people don't save, right? Rich people have enough. They don't have to worry about saying, oh, I got to put away 10% of my salary. No, they have plenty. They have plenty for themselves, for their kids, for their grandkids, for their grandkids, rich people. They don't save. They don't think about saving. They're making investments. They're growing their way. If everybody had enough income where they could live off of that into their twilight years, you wouldn't have to do this. The saving is stupid. But we don't do that. We're operating under this false belief that the money is finite, and we keep the economy the growth very, just at the bare minimum. And we live not above our means, we live beneath our means. The fact that there's unemployment, the fact that there's homelessness, the fact that there's people who are hungry, kids, we live way, way beneath our means. You know, don't listen to these stories of people who say, oh, we're living beyond our means. We're going to pay for this. We're leaving a debt. The debt that we're leaving to our kids and our grandkids is not the dollars. We want them to have as much of those things as possible. The debt we're leaving is the poverty, is the homelessness, is the hunger. It's the lack of education. It's the lack of opportunity, not just now in the present, but in the future and for generations to come. Okay, the lack of modernization of our society, our crumbling roads and bridges and schools. That's the real legacy that we're handing down, not the money. Remember, money, debt, same thing. That's a positive. It's all that other stuff. That's real. That stuff is real. The money's just, you print it off. That's it. More stuff is created, more wealth to go around, ostensibly, but really it all flows up to the top because the political system is captured by the people at the top. So, hey, Jim Rogers, he's always good for a laugh, right, folks? Ha ha! All right, that's it. See you next time. Bye-bye.